Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Carvey. Good to see you, man.
Top of the morning to you, sir.
We're adjusting to your new hour, so good to see you, man. So anyway, thank everybody. Now I got to walk all the way down there to get my water.
Walk all the way down there to get your water. Why did you leave your water?
Oh, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program.
Great morning, Keith.
I don't know.
How are you, sir?
Oh man, thank you. We're looking out.
Oh yeah,
right in the cut. Hey man. So anyway, hope you guys had a great weekend. Jackie indicates that the Packers won.
Oh, because she's got on her gear.
She got on the Packers gear.
Man,
that's how you know. Because when the Packers lose, you don't see no Packer gear at all, man. But
I wear mine if they lose. I do. Not proudly, but I do.
Man, dude, people, they don't. And it's funny because sometimes I go to the store after the games, right? Mm-hmm. And people still got their Packer stuff on. And you can tell though that they won or lost. So who yesterday? Packers did. I didn't get a chance to really watch the game yesterday because I was at a.
Oh, you missed a good one, man.
Yeah, I was, but I was keeping the updates and I was updating the people. Let me do this real quickly. I'm going to do it quickly. Let me do this because I just think it's just worthy. Yesterday, I had the great privilege to MC the Men's Network of Community Baptist Church, and they were honoring and recognizing men of grace. These were men who are 90 years old plus. And there was one of the 15 of these individuals. 3 could not make it. So just let me do the shout out to them. First of all, Reuben Harpo, 90 years old. Donald Jefferson, one of my coworkers back at the county, 91 years old. Mr. J.M. Sutton, 91 years old. And I didn't realize he owned 2 bowling alleys. Yeah. My pastor, Dr. Russell Bennett Williamson, 91. Mr. Alex Barber, 92. Mr. Charlie Weddle, 92. Reverend Eugene Wright, 92. Mason Bullock, 93. Lester Britt, 94. Lester Britt is an usher at our church. They're every Sunday on this post, still driving. He couldn't join us yesterday. Ted Newby, 94. Mr. Max Shavers, he could not join us. He could not join us yesterday. He was 94. Lawrence Taylor, 94. Plural Thomas, who was not able to be with us yesterday. He's 94. Thomas Morgan, he's a deacon at our church. He's 95. James Brown, 96. Wow. You wouldn't know that man was 96.
Really?
William Waddleton, 96. Dr. William Finlayson, 100. He was there yesterday. And Vernon Townsend, 104. Now, I don't know what 100 looks like, but Mr. Townsend don't look like he's 104. So the shout out to these men. So let me thank Mike Staples, the good folks there, the Men's Network, Community Baptist Church. Dr. Demetrius Williams was the keynote speaker yesterday.
He's the pastor there, isn't he?
Yes, he's pastor Community Baptist Church. And I said history was made yesterday. We had a brief Baptist minister.
He was brief?
He was brief and to the point, very poignant in his points, and he took his seat. Let me shout out to Dr. Darrell Williams, who was also there yesterday representing. They did a nice tribute to the veterans, but 104 years old. I know some of these families listen to the program, so I just thought that they really deserved that recognition in our community where you have people learn. I saw a little blurb that they were saying that they just thought that they were saying that they thought because we're aging differently, and some might argue we're aging better, that 80, 90 now, a lot of people can hit if they're not dealing with other situations in their lives. Uh, but 100 years old, man, that is really grace. And so let me thank the folks who put it together. It was beautiful. And we were on time. We were on time. Man, I got this thing, man. You know, the train got to keep moving, and it's all good. So, I just wanted to shout them out again, and I thank them for the honor of being able to MC the program. And again, I was telling Michelle and Debo and Carvey that boy, oh boy, every place I go, you know, Michelle this and Michelle that and Michelle this and Michelle that. I'm so tired of Michelle this and Michelle that. I got a program too. So, but it says something also because what I was hearing from people was they appreciate the information that we give out here on WNOV. So
Yeah, Michelle does a great job giving out the information.
yep, she does.
And you not to say that you know that you don't.
Oh, not to say that I'm going to respond. Boy, you just
you almost oh, you in the camel, huh?
Yeah, come on.
This mother. Sorry about that, man. I mean,
Oh my God, great moment. That was a great moment.
that'll go down in history.
It'll go down in history, and the fact that most black people with black cars immediately understood.
Oh yeah, right away. Please don't say it. Don't say it.
What did she
Stop.
say? Oh, we know what she's gonna say. Oh, he's gonna say. So, a shout out to Vice President Kamala Harris, who will be in town, I think Thursday.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Yeah, she's gonna be in town Thursday. So, what else do we have going on this weekend? Of course, the Packers won, Badgers won. Boy, that WNBA finals, man. I missed the game yesterday. I taped it, but 1-1. They you know, it's if you don't think that that these young ladies are not great athletes and great ballers, you're really deceiving yourself. They really can play. I mean, they can play, and they're just ball players. And I just love seeing great basketball, and they play great basketball.
Check out the NLCS.
Well, it was over. When the Dodgers ended up winning 6-0. The 6-0.
Yeah, it was 3-0 when I quit.
Yeah, it was over. It was over early. They
do you think they have a shot at
the Dodgers?
No, not the Dodgers, the Mets.
Well, let's see if they're truly the miracle Mets and see what they can pull out. It was you know, we were having the conversation about the payrolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a couple things. We pulled up. Well, 3 of the highest payrolls are still in the league championship series. You got the Mets, you got the Yankees, you have the Dodgers, and now you have the Guardians, right? Cleveland, who got in. So that's the, and I'm sure their payroll, I think when DJ pulled it up, they're like 24th, 25th. So it does matter to have some money. It really does.
Well, you can go out and get the talent.
Yeah.
And not only just
has Mike McCarthy gotten fired yet?
I said it yesterday. I said, man, on my birthday.
Yesterday was your birthday?
Not my birthday. It was Gerald Jones' birthday. I'm not Gerald Jones. What his name is? The owner of the team.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. It was his birthday. They had a big old cake celebration for him to start the game. The commentator was like, well, good thing they did the cake presentation before the game. Because to have that presentation after the game wouldn't have been good. He probably would have fired him on the spot.
Dude, and they've been showing, and I was talking to someone last night, I was picking up food, and we were just talking about the Packers, and we got to the Cowboys, and I said, you know, it started last year with the Packers in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's been down. Did Parsons play yesterday?
I don't think so. I don't usually watch that game.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for all you Cowboy fans, ooh, look at them Cowboys. Ooh,
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? They're
That was bad. What did they end up having? 9 points?
Yeah.
47-9 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, and it was down. They were down 24 points or something like that at one point. There was no coming back. I mean, at this point, and then it was the Lions. And so,
well, that's a divisional game.
I know, and that's that. I think the most competitive division you have right now, in terms of win-loss records, is the NFC North.
Are there any yet undefeated teams? I didn't keep up with yesterday at all.
Who was the last undefeated team? That's a good question. I don't know who's the last undefeated team. I think the last undefeated team lost. Yeah. So 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. How many of y'all turn your heat on? I know some folks, we don't turn the heat on to November the 1st. This is not California. Yes, sir.
As if you was concerned.
Depends on the heater and how your house is circuited, but those heaters use a lot of energy.
Yeah,
use a lot of energy.
You either gonna pay it on the electric side or you're gonna pay it on the gas side, but
you're gonna pay it.
You're gonna pay it.
Yeah. Yep. We got a caller. Caller, welcome to the program.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Keith, this is Mona Jones. I heard your little comment about the Cowboys. I'm just going to need you to raise up off of them.
Oh, no, Mona, that's not how it works here.
Not at all.
That's not how it works
here.
Was we on something? We on something, man. Not. Well, where you call it? Where's Bro Jones? You call it, where's Bro Jones?
I'm calling on behalf of my husband.
Is that right?
Okay? I'm calling to let you know simply that we hear you.
Oh, no, it don't work like that. Because when we on the Packers, right?
Okay,
but
this is true.
This is how you doing?
I'm good. But I totally agree. We're waiting for Jerry Jones to open his eyes. So we just want Dak gone. So I don't know.
And that's the other part of it too. And we didn't even speak to that. They just gave Dak a lot of money, and he has not
whole lot of money for this foolishness.
Yeah. He is not producing.
And he crying about he want to get paid. And I never liked Dak Prescott.
I
never liked him.
You know, I was a diehard Packers fan, and I know I'm gonna get into this, but I was a diehard Packers fan my whole life. Mm-hmm. And once Mike and I got married, we were a divided household. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, I need you to be on my team all the way. So I said, okay, well, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. And he says, well, I need you to be a Cowboys fan. I said, I don't know about that, but I do love you. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet, and I'm going to convert. So he said it was his game. He said he converted me from a Packers fan to a Cowboys fan, and as soon as he did that, they lost.
Look at God.
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Okay. You the jinx? Is that what you said? You the jinx?
I asked him, I said, who raised you?
You know what? It was interesting.
We'll accept you back, though. You can come on back home.
But you know what's funny, Bona? I heard on the earlier program, Debo and Michelle was talking about whether or not spouses should go to the same church.
Right.
You know? And so I'm wondering then, should spouses be fans of the same team?
I think it helps.
It does help. It makes things easier. But I mean, I can speak from experience. It's not always necessary.
Well, you know, Mona, I love you. I love you so much. I love you too. And I'm so glad. Wait a minute. Let me finish it. I love you, comma.
Oh, God.
But.
No, not but. I'm so glad that you didn't marry a Bears fan. I am so, because if you would have converted to being a Bears fan. Oh, there you go. I told you. I know there's something about that woman I like. There you go.
Oh, see, that's just blasphemy.
That would be blasphemy. That is crazy. That is crazy. And And you know, at any point, Mike can join the conversation.
You know what? I just left Mike. I was dropping his coat off to him at work, and I could not wait to tell him about this conversation.
Because at any point he can join us. I just love, I'm waiting on another fan who is a Seattle Seahawks fan, and I haven't heard him call and talk about the Seahawks in 2 weeks. So I'm just saying, man, you gotta look when your team go down, you gotta stand with your team. You
This
do.
is true, though. Yeah, you're right, and I'm sitting toes down for the Cowboys today. But I don't know. My stomach hurts a little bit, but I know I got to do it.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. So let's say you get your mind right and you become a Packer fan. Would that be grounds for a divorce?
I promise you, I kid you not when I say this thing. Michael said, if you ever go back to the Packers, that is grounds for divorce. I kid you not.
I
You
bet.
said that?
Mike be coming strong, man. Mike, ooh. You know, during the pandemic, during that period where we weren't coming to church, every Saturday we'd come and drop off offerings, right? So people, and you know what's an amazing thing? Churches did not suffer financially during the pandemic for a lot of reasons.
That's right.
People were still giving the whole thing. So we come down, so it'd be a group of us. And man, between Deacon King
I knew it.
and Deacon Jones, they talk, man, they just going back and forth. We're going back because Deacon King is, and here's what's crazy. They go to breakfast, once a week? They go to breakfast together once a week. You know?
Yes. Let me tell you, Michael is today, to this day, is still trying to get El Greco to get a Cowboy section.
A cow? What?
At El Greco.
He ain't in Texas?
Yeah, I told him, babe, that's not going to work here. You're going to get this place burned to the ground.
No, if you want to see that happen, he need to go to, and I'm not saying this is not racism, but I'm saying he needs to go to a Mexican restaurant on the south side because Chicanos from Texas are Cowboy fans.
Oh, yeah.
They love the Cowboys. So
now you got the one place, TJ's on 35th, right there before you get on the freeway. That's a straight Packer bar, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The building's even green and yellow.
We're gonna have to cross over and go on over to the south side, and I'm gonna have to let my man know, babe, this is where we belong. I got this, Keith. I'm on it.
Well,
Stay for the tip.
so who are y'all looking for looking at as a coach?
As a coach, yeah.
Y'all gonna go
I
get,
don't know.
y'all gonna go
Just
get
rid
the
of him,
Jets
guys.
coach because he's unemployed.
Robert Saleh. I hear
Yeah.
the Packers are trying to get him.
Coach is
For what,
unemployed.
offensive coordinator or something?
He was defensive guy, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a head coach, wasn't he? Oh, you talking about?
But he was a defense.
Yeah.
He was a defensive guy. Yeah.
But
I
he-
can't
don't
believe the
know, but
Cowboys.
We need to get rid of Dak. We need to get rid of our current coach. We need to get rid of these people and get on it. Jerry Jones. I wonder. Here's my question: is Dak Prescott dating Jerry Jones' daughter?
Oh no.
I doubt that.
That dude. Now they said the NFL is the last plantation.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is running the plantation down with the Cowboys. So
Michael Irvin and all them.
yeah,
cats.
no, ain't no.
I can tell you some stories about Jerry.
And wait a minute, and Dak is light bright, but no,
Damn near white, but he
white enough. I don't think that if Jerry Jones got a daughter, let me pull it up. Oh, the two undefeated teams right now, the Chiefs and the Vikings. Chiefs and the Vikings. Right? That's
It's okay.
let me see, pull up Jerry Jones's daughter. Man,
I'm telling you, there has to be a rhyme or a reason behind why he's paying Dak Prescott the amount of money he's paying.
I think the market really dictated that, and I think he was scared that he would leave and not get anything from. But Dak Prescott has not been the same since the injury.
No,
He hasn't.
sir. No, sir. Nope.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna end this with saying Cowboys are Super Bowl bound.
In 2025.
26.
26. It will not be the 24-25 season at this point. I
Oh,
don't.
that was just rude.
Okay. Now let's see, how many children does Charlotte Jones? Her name is Charlotte Jones.
That's his daughter.
That's his daughter. And her mother breached the settlement. Yeah. Yeah, he has two daughters, looks like.
Is one of them dating Dad?
No, because she was born in 1966.
Oh no.
Yeah.
She's my age.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be something
Oh
there.
wow. It's something.
Okay. All right. Well, go back to consoling Deke.
All right. Later on. It's been real.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
You know, it really is amazing, man, how bad you feel the day after your team loses. But it's even worse when they lose the way the Cowboys lost yesterday, man. That was just a
That game was
shellacking.
over.
You know,
in the
Dak
first
did
half.
not even throw for a touchdown. I mean, that was 3 field goals. That 9 points they got.
And I said this. Didn't I say this? Their best player is their kicker. That's the best player. Well, no,
Yeah.
Michael Carson. Let me not disrespect that brother. He's a beast. But after that, well, CeeDee Lamb is pretty good too. I don't know. We'll see.
Did you see the injury? Detroit's
Yeah,
he broke his leg.
Broke his leg. Yeah, they that's gonna hurt because that dude, he was leading the league in sacks. Asa Hutchinson.
Right.
Yeah, he was leading.
That pressure on that quarterback, get to him, sacking.
And it was a weird thing because it was like he got bent backwards, right?
Yeah, I kind of watched the play, but then they would not show it again.
Please don't. That was like Joe Theismann. Don't show it. We don't need to see it again. Or my guy, Paul George, when he broke his leg in the Olympic trials. You don't want to see that. Oh, that's right. The Bucks open against Philly next week, and that's where Paul George is right now. Saw a little bit of the Knicks yesterday. You watch Bronny? Yeah, my godson went down to the game. My sister went down to the game.
What are we watching Bronny for?
Well, we know what he can do
because he's
LeBron James,
LeBron's son. Because other than that, he doesn't have a hellified game. He just doesn't.
And he's short too. You're listening to Community Voice Call. I see you. I'm gonna grab you right after the break. We'll be right back.
5.
It's open 414-444-5250. We hope at the top of the hour they have the Honorable Congressman Gregory Meeks of the 5th Congressional District of New York. That's Harlem and Fort Washington, so get a chance to talk to him, which is a great segue. And I hadn't, it's funny how sometimes things line up in the way that they line up. Yesterday in the New York Times, there was an article by Charles Coleman Jr. He's a civil rights attorney, former prosecutor, and co-host of MSNBC series Black Men in America, The Road to 2024. And this is an opinion piece that he wrote. He says, Black men want a Democratic Party that delivers for them. And what he's making, well, how do I do it? Let me circle back to what was discussed on Michelle's program. There is, when you're looking at some of the polling data, you find that for whatever reasons, and there are a lot of different reasons, that there's been an erosion of support among descendants of enslaved Africans in the Democratic Party. It was interesting when Michelle was talking the last time, we saw more than 90% support for the Democratic Party was 2008, 2012, and Barack Obama was running for president. But since then, there's been a steady erosion of support, African Americans in general, but particularly Black men, in support of the Democratic Party. This is interesting because traditionally, Black men, because many of these men were union members, was very supportive of the Democratic Party. And it was a little shift. And I heard something, just a blurb of a conversation that was happening on MSNBC. And it made me ask this question, or a question just came up in my mind. Descendants of enslaved Africans make up about 13% of the population. 13% of the population. What we call Hispanic Latinos make up about 15 to 16% of the population. If you combined those two demographic groups, that would come up to a little over a quarter of the electorate. And someone was making the argument, and I had never thought about it this way, because we're so demonizing. And look, full transparency, I was one of these people where we demonize Black people, either for their lack of participation in the voting process, or the fact that they might vote for candidates other than the Democratic candidate. But again, unless you're talking, and we're talking like in Wisconsin, Black people make up 6% of the population, right? Now, what happens is, on what this is becoming more and more a margin election now, right? Because it is neck and neck. The polling, that both private polling and public polling, shows that they are very, 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 very close. Okay. Now, there's some people arguing, I don't know why it's so close. Okay, now that's really digging into the weeds, into why people vote the way people vote. But the question isn't so much what Black people are going to do or what Hispanic people are going to do. The question you have to ask is, why are all these white people supporting Donald Trump? If we're putting it in a racial lens, because it wasn't Black people who elected Barack Obama. It was white people that elected Barack Obama. Now, it helped in states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, these so-called swing states, in Georgia. And I don't think Obama won Georgia. I have to go back and see. So we're having this conversation where it's almost this circular firing squad, where the question really is, knowing what we know, seeing what we've seen, experienced what we've experienced when it comes to Donald Trump, why are white people voting for Donald Trump? Someone pointed something out when they were talking about women. They said that the majority of white women still vote Republican. The majority of white women still vote Republican, even though some might argue that some of the policies that the Republican Party puts forth is detrimental to women, and primarily the whole issue of abortion, right? Because whether people in the real world, you can have people who can come out and they're theologically against abortion, they're philosophically against abortion, they have a social reason for their opposition to abortion, but it's the person who gets pregnant who has to make the choice of whether or not she's going to carry that baby to term, right? And then it's the same party who will confer more rights on a fetus than they will on actual human beings. I'm talking about people walking around breathing, speaking, living, souls, the whole piece, right? So we're having this argument where, we're going back and forth. Well, what's going on with black men and why didn't black men, da, 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 da. Okay. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that's going to be important, right? This is a margin state right now. Tammy Baldwin in August was up by 8 points. Tammy Baldwin is only up by 2 points now. This is razor thin. So now this turns into a turnout election. And so where you have in states where even though blacks might make up a small percentage of the population, but if they're in an urban environment, right, then they will have impact. And the article talks about, I don't know if it was this article or it was the thing they did on CNN, but it showed there's been a steady erosion in terms of voter participation, right? So in Milwaukee, 2012, almost 80% of registered voters in Milwaukee participated. That number dropped precipitously in 2016. It's dropping again in 2020. And we don't know if it's going to drop again coming in 2024. But the fact that we're having this discussion, the question in my mind isn't what's wrong with black people. And I think we need to participate. There's no excuse, no reason for us to not participate. So I'm not just justifying that. But I clearly have become a little bit more sympathetic to white people might feel the way that they feel. Like, you have disaffected black men, you have disaffected white men, you have disaffected Latino men. Okay. And so those issues are their issues. And I don't know if folks are wrong to say, I want you to address some of my issues and my concerns. So Donald Trump, in his mind, is addressing it by saying, look, all your problems is because of immigration. People coming across the border, that's your problem. It's not really your problem. But, if you're playing on people's fear, if you're playing on people's emotions, like Big Worm, just play with people's emotions. I mean, but that drives a lot. So for us to kind of act as if our emotional response to a candidate or an issue, that's real. It's real. All right, we got some callers. But anyway, and in his article, he said there are issues out there that needs to address and specifically address black men. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Good morning.
Let me tell you something, brother. You jive turkey.
Hey, jive turkey.
let me tell you something, you jive turkey. And hey, it ain't been no damn 2 weeks.
Oh, but when you did call, you didn't mention the Seahawks. We talking about something else. You never mentioned the Seahawks. That is correct. You did call, but you didn't mention the Seahawks. Did we have a discussion about the Seahawks? Jive turkey. In the movie Semi-Pro, there's a Will Ferrell movie. They're playing cards, and they're going back and forth. And one dude,
what's going on with the Seahawks, man? That the guy hung up on you?
I don't know.
Oh, he called back.
I'll get her, and then I'll get back
Okay.
to you. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keith, Devo,
Good
and
morning.
Harvey.
Morning.
I want to go back to where you were talking about should husband and wife belong to the same church. Yes, I think that's a good thing. But if you marry late in life and you both establish at different churches, I think you can work that out if you're a loving couple. But when you're young and starting out, it would make for a strong family to be in the same church. And as far as being on the same team, just so happens my husband and I are for the Packers. But I think it would be really interesting to be on opposite sides.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a diehard or somebody that I'm going to get a divorce because he don't go along with what I say. I'm not on that level. And then getting back to Trump, everybody needs to know when Biden wanted some extra money, some more money to help the people that were in this tornado, and he talked to the Speaker of the House, and he said he wasn't even considering them coming back to pass anything so they can get additional money. So if people are upset, this is what I'm talking about, being strategic and finding facts out for yourself. But if I didn't have a dime and you come along and give me that dime, that's more than what I had. And I'm going to work it out with what you gave me. But to fight people that are trying to help you all because of one man. Now look at Donald Trump. He's about confusion. How much do we have to get that in our brain? And every time your favorite person that like to call in, I'm not even going to call his name, he know not to call Michelle. He should know it by now because she's loaded with facts. And he get a crumb and go running with it and get slapped in the face with it. Stop doing that. And people have a brain. If you're following somebody that's feeding you crap, oh well, and remember, we're all on the same boat. If the ship go down, we're all on it. Even the ones that so-called love Donald Trump, watch what he do for you. The man is telling you right now, what are they listening to? He's telling you if you're black or brown or whatever, if you have melanin in your skin, you were born with a defect. We're not smart people. I don't know who's doing the testing.
Can I say something, or may I ask you a question? You're preaching to the choir, and what I mean by that,
somebody's listening out.
Yeah,
here.
but what I'm saying, the overwhelming number of people who listen to WNOV, right, and who listen to Michelle, listen to me, they're of a particular persuasion. You don't really need to persuade them. Here's the bigger question. When the question is asked, and again, this article kind of gets into it, issues and concerns that impact Black men, shouldn't we be having that conversation as opposed to why Black men or some Black men are supporting Donald Trump?
Okay, and you know something, Keith? You guys talk to people that are into sports. You talk to more Black men, and yes, I'm talking to Black men and trying to figure out where you're coming from. I did talk to a young man, and he's mad at, I'm trying to figure out, why would you be mad at Black people when it's the whites that control everything?
Now, when you say that he's mad at who?
He's mad because he had a business, and that business failed, and he was kind of mad at, what do you call it, the Chamber of Commerce?
Okay.
Kind of mad at them, and some other things because the business failed. Number one, when you have a business plan and you're not getting everything you did, it had something to do with on 27th Street, that steel place that's up there. They were getting the contracts that he could have gotten some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the city gives generally the same people contracts, it seems like, over and over again. Instead of saying to them, we've given you contracts over the last 10 years. We want you to bring in a company and kind of shadow them until they can get into the swing of things of what's going on. Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they encouraging that? And why aren't they doing more checking on these contracts to make sure that you're allowing somebody else to come in? But don't get mad at a little dinky person that's struggling like you are. Where's the logic in that?
I guess, and again, I'm so frustrated. I am. I
Don't
can't
even
think.
talk about frustration.
I am so frustrated because, first of all, I'm just tired of the political ads. Everybody.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And
how they flip them. I'm trying to. It's an insult. Some of the ads are an insult to me because now they flip their whole thinking and blaming us for it, and they're spending millions of dollars. So I get this text saying it's from some kind of screening place that wants to know my political take on something, and I opt out. I put stop because I don't know who you are, and I don't want nobody, searching me out or whatever. I don't trust anything right now. And if I was on the street and you asked me, I doubt if I would give you too much more of a response. But I'll talk to my own people and say, you've got black people going to churches, giving them food and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, I don't know, maybe this church is not a 501(c) or whatever it is. But it's like my neighbor where I used to live was saying she thinks they Republicans the way he was kind of fishing around. I said, I wish you had said
this. I said it, and it's
meeting.
not.
We have to check out some things.
It's more than a cliche. Black people are not a monolith. I mean, I was just out watching, and there's a particular guy, I won't call his name. He is running for one of the bishop's positions in the Church of God in Christ. And I saw him. I saw his campaign ad that he did, but then I went to watch some of his church services. And this dude is conservative. I mean, to the point where frightening conservative. I mean, he got a problem with LGBTQ people, though I'm sure in his church there are LGBTQ folks, right?
Thank you.
He really went after abortion. And then I think, and I have to go back and check, I don't want to lie on the dude, but there were conservative black pastors who were very opposed to Barack Obama. I mean, because and I know in one particular situation where allegedly the person voted for Obama in 2008, when Obama came out in support of same-sex marriage, that particular person just used it as an opportunity and they took off with it. So there is a divide, and then even in our own community, where descendants of enslaved African peoples, we almost got this dichotomy going on, right? We believe in government, we believe that people should be able to access government services, but at the same time, we find ourselves socially conservative, right? So, when you look at the numbers, then those things begin to resonate.
I don't care which way it resonates. I don't care what's going down. The bottom line is this. Do you want a democracy or do you want a dictatorship?
Most people don't even have a concept.
And I'm going to tell you, these churches better get smart because they're going to be taxed. Number one, the Pentecostal churches, this had to be 5 years ago when they had this on TV, their convocation. And the money that they were raising was, I'm telling you, I said, oh my God, they're making a big mistake.
Who are they raising? What were they raising money for?
Money that you're pulling in.
What were they raising money for?
You know how they their mission groups coming in for their congregation.
Okay.
And I mean millions of dollars. These people were raising, dressed to the hill. They don't wear a lot of makeup, but they doggone sure wear some designer clothes. So these churches that think it's mentioned very little in there, but they're going to start taxing the churches. So when you and you vote for Donald Trump,
that's not going to happen.
Going to be that gave up more rights than you could have ever imagined.
I don't know. That's not going to happen. It may be. I'm just saying right now that first of all, you would alienate too many people. That just won't be black churches, right?
I know that.
If IRS went in and look, and regardless of the hue of the leadership, regardless of the hue of the leadership of that particular church, that a lot of people dance up to the lie. And there's some people who they're just actively campaigning. But the IRS has always been very slow. The Johnson Act has been in effect since 1954, right? So there are people out there that's very fearful.
It was a guy that called in. I don't know if it was your show or Michelle's show. Oh, that was on Al Sharpton. And he was going to find a scripture in the Bible that spoke to abortion.
Okay, good luck.
Now, number one,
good luck.
I don't believe in abortion. And over the weekend, I heard this stuff. If you're a Democrat, you're not a Christian. Did you hear that?
Okay. I'm not a member of the Democratic Party anyway, so who are they talking about?
Big deal. But my thing is this. I believe people have a right to a choice.
Okay. Well, let me do this.
Things are changing. You can't even put a sign in your yard, and it's all it's messed over. So people are scared to say who they are and what they are. Is that the kind of country we want?
All right. Well, let me do this. I do have a guest. You ready? Yep. Good morning. Is this Congressman Gregory Meeks?
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. The 5th Congressional District of the great state of New York. Welcome to the program.
Good to be with you.
This is really I would say fortuitous this morning. I don't know. There was an article yesterday in the New York Times by Charles Coleman, and he says what black men want a Democratic Party that delivers for them. And I do have here we go. Releases opportunity agenda for black men, the Harris-Walz campaign, black men as part of their comprehensive push to engage black voters. We've been having this conversation about the number of black men who are allegedly supporting Donald Trump. One, how true do you think that is? And then if it is true, what do you think are some of the contributing factors in that movement?
Let me just say this. Let's talk about the fact. The fact is that black men actually support Kamala Harris and Democrats at a higher rate than any group in America besides black women. So that's a fact. So I want to say thank you to black men for doing just that. That's really important. And I think that the other fact is that when you talk about a gender gap on support, that's not unique to black men. There's a gender gap that exists across all races. It's not unique to Harris. We've got to work down, but you've got to earn the black men's vote. And I think that what the vice president has committed to is to meet black men where they are, whether it's on social media, whether it's on help, HBCUs, whether it's having entrusted messengers. And she also understands that you've got to earn black men votes and understand what their top issues are. So I think that what black men are asking, or some is, in trying to find out where and who the vice president is, what has she been doing for black folks in the last 4 years? We have answers to that. And so it's a big job for people like myself and others who worked on it to talk about that black small businesses, particularly starting up at a faster rate in the last 30 years. I think it's important to say that black unemployment hit a historic low. I think it's important to say that that we forgave over $167 billion in student loan debt and fighting for more, capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I think it's important to talk about a number of things, and that's thereafter we, moved with the $16 billion in investments with HBCUs and creating. This is what the agenda for black men, the opportunity agenda for black men, providing money for down payments for homes so that we can help reduce the wealth gap, provide dollars and moving forward the preference and champion for education, training, and leadership programs that will help black men get good training jobs. That's the kind of jobs that Donald Trump was talking about. That Donald Trump calls black jobs. So it's black men wanting to hear, as black folks are. They want to hear and understand and know what are the commitments. And I think that when we look at it, and sometimes when you're living history, it's hard to realize the gains that one have made. I'm old enough to remember as a kid complaints during the middle of the civil rights and the voting rights struggle where folks didn't think we were doing anything. But when you look back at history, you accomplished a lot. And so that's where we are right now. So we just got to speak of what has been done and what we will do. I think that's really important and compare it to, Donald Trump and the Republicans, what they have done and what they will do and what they're looking to do. They want to decrease access to capital, for example, and not have diversity, equity, and inclusion in any of their agendas. And coming from New York, I've seen Donald Trump tell me one black man, just one, that he's ever had an executive or any high position in any of the businesses he's had. I mean, all you can point to when it comes to Donald Trump and his agenda with reference to black men, I was just with Yusef Salaam from the Central Park Five over the weekend, talking about what took place there. And I saw firsthand, Donald Trump had his way, he wouldn't be here. We've got to talk about what the facts are and the reality is right now to our black men, especially those 40 and under, 45 and under. And I think that's what we're doing, and that's what we're trying to do in Wisconsin and Milwaukee in particular.
Yeah. Herschel Walker wouldn't count. He played when he played for the Generals. He wouldn't count.
He wouldn't count. Herschel Walker didn't work for any Trump company.
He played for the Generals.
Well, he played for the Yeah, that's what Donald was saying.
But I have been, I try to do it from this whole idea of, we should be supporting the democracy. But and I had a conversation with my godson. He is 23. And we were talking about this issue. We was talking about him voting. And it surprised me that at 23, he's going to vote, but he still hadn't made a decision. And part of this, I think, and I'm hearing this from some guys, and I think you're getting it from white males too, this idea that I want to be heard, I want to be seen. And I don't know if for some black men, especially that demographic you just identified, feel like they're being seen and heard.
Yeah, so and I understand and respect that. And let me just say that that's exactly why the Harris campaign is trying to reach out specifically. Let's just use Wisconsin as an example. Instead of having their headquarters in Madison where they've had it previously, it's in Milwaukee where there's more black folks and more black men, so that we can talk about them. And that's why you see that this campaign, you've seen more folks in Milwaukee than ever before. I know that the individuals from the campaign have come and met with Black and Latino small business leaders in Milwaukee at a Black-owned manufacturing company. I think it's called Diamond Disc International, and spoke about how Vice President Harris's small business economic policies would boost Black wealth. I think that's why, I will be in Wisconsin myself on Wednesday, and I'm coming back with the CBC just to get on the ground to talk to Black men. So I think we have an obligation and a responsibility to talk to them directly and to show them what we have done, and not only what we have done in the past, but what we will do, and why this election is so important, and why many of them I know feel that government is slow and politics feel like it does not affect them. And this is a fast-paced world, and I know sometimes it feels like we have to work twice as hard to get half as far, but we can show when they vote, it has made a difference. Because, for example, just over the last 4 years, by folks voting, we've lowered the cost of life-saving medications and expanded healthcare access. and we'll continue to invest in our communities by expanding child care and elder care to reduce the burden on our families. And as I said, reducing and taking away the cost of for student loans to make sure that we're moving forward in that direction. You know, $25,000 deposit so you can own a home. I mean, that was one of the big things where you own a home. That helps reduce the wealth gap. So we got to talk about those things to our 23-year-olds, our 18 and 19-year-olds, even our 30-year-olds. That's part of the responsibility that we have, and that's why the vice president, for example, will be back in Milwaukee for this Thursday, I think it is. So we're trying to meet Black folks and Black men where they are.
Why do you think, you know, as a person who is involved with the mechanics and all the different things that goes politics, why is this race so close? Because you've given stark differences, and based on those stark differences, one would think that logic would say, "Hey, well, I might be over here," but I don't know if logic would be applied here because we're still trying to understand why so many people are supportive of Donald Trump when we know that there are a lot of policies. For example, he talks about tariffs. Well, if you're a farmer, if you're a manufacturer, tariffs are not good, but people don't seem to care. So why do you think it's so close?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, the system itself. I mean, I think that Donald Trump would have never been president in 2016. He lost a popular vote. So overwhelmingly more folks in America knows and understands and will vote against him. But that's why Milwaukee, that's why Wisconsin is key. It's 8 states that are very, very close, that the election is very, very close in. And I think that if people turn out, then the polls that we see now will become wrong. And that's why we'll be wrong. And that's why it's important to get this message out. And those that are undecided, we need to get them to vote. And those that have not voted, we need to get them to vote and explain to them why it's important and why it affects their future. I have a responsibility. You know, those who have had the opportunity to participate in government. I know working with Mayor Johnson of Milwaukee and the executive, county executive David Crowley has been really important. And so that's why the focus is on Milwaukee, because we want to make sure that Milwaukee and Black men in Wisconsin turn out so that it is not a close election. And as a result, I think there is a focus there. And what I would ask people is who is really focusing on them directly, so they don't have to come to a state like New York. And that's tremendously important. And as well as, you know, check your sources, because social media and other things, we've got so many things on there, many of which is not accurate and not true. So we've got to tell folks to be able to dissect what's true and what's a lie. And I think if you listen to Donald Trump, almost everything that comes out of his mouth has been a lie.
You know, one of the some of the lies that are being spread is FEMA's response to Hurricane Helene. Who was the Milton? Milton.
Yeah.
And so my question is just, you know, as being a member of Congress, will Congress, because it looks like FEMA could run out of money, will Congress come back in order to reappropriate more monies for FEMA and disaster relief?
Yes, I think that the administration has clearly said that FEMA has enough money to deal with all of the crises that they're currently dealing with. But we've got to make sure that we're appropriating more money for the future. And we've got an idea what Donald Trump would do. He would play politics with this. How do we know? He's come out of his own mouth. He's threatened the people and citizens of California that he will cut off funds if there's forest fires, all these other tragedies happen there. He's going to determine not to give them money to fight those tragedies. So that tells you right now what he would do. He would try to prioritize those states and cities that are not where people of color are, but going to other places where there's primarily just Republicans playing politics with it. That's not what we do. which is another reason why it's important for us to win the House, where we would then have Hakeem Jeffries as the Speaker, and we will make those right decisions based upon people, not politics, in the same way that Donald Trump would, and the Republicans would do should they remain in power.
I was just sitting there thinking, and so excuse me if I just asked this question. Is there a difference between where, and I was thinking you represent the state of New York, and this is, just tell me if I'm really off base here. So a black man voting or black people voting for Donald Trump in New York does not necessarily have the same impact it would have if we had a black man or a black woman voting for Donald Trump in Wisconsin, right?
That is correct. Just because we know that overwhelmingly the people in New York will vote for the vice president. So she will win those electoral counts. In a state like Wisconsin, where every vote counts to determine who wins that state. So the state of New York is not in question, which is why I'm leaving New York to come to Milwaukee. That's where the eyes of the world, not only in the United States, the eyes of the world will be on Milwaukee and its turnout, because that's where it's going to be determined who is the next president in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. So those are the states that are focused on. So yes, it's completely different because of what the makeup is of the state. And that means that those votes, every vote in Wisconsin is tremendously important in determining who wins the electoral votes in Wisconsin. And that determines who the next president will be.
Final question. I see that one of the issues we're dealing with here in Wisconsin, I know, because there's legalized cannabis, marijuana in New York State, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
In Wisconsin, we don't. And as a matter of fact, we have one of, like, I almost say one of the draconian marijuana laws in the country. How important, because there are a lot of black men, particularly, who've gotten caught up in the criminal justice system because of how marijuana has been treated. How important is it on the federal level, right? For first of all, I don't know if they made the move yet where it's no longer a Schedule I drug, but how do we get to the point on a national level? Because a lot of states are following the leads of the feds, where we can begin to take that off, where it's no longer a pathway to prison for black males in a state like Wisconsin.
Well, here again is why voting in this election is tremendously important. I mean, one of the things that have held it back from happening over the last 3.5 years is the fact that the Republicans in Congress will not allow us to put the vote on the floor so that we can vote for it. We can get Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker, then, and we're in the majority, we'll pass it out of the House, and we keep the majority in the Senate. They'll get it out of the Senate, and Vice President Harris has indicated she will sign the bill. That's how we make it happen. I know that things, sometimes it's slow, and that's where we feel that it's slow and getting our issues done. That's how politics works. Though we have to have the vote to get things out of the House, out of the Senate, and on the president's desk. And you got to have a president that won't veto it, that will sign it. Vice President Harris says we get it out of Congress, she will sign it.
My final question for you: Mets, Yankees.
Oh.
Now you're on the air in Milwaukee. I don't know if they're gonna hear it in New York. So
I have an interesting dilemma in my household of which I have to represent. And I'm a Mets fan.
Okay.
I'm a National League fan. For me, the Mets, a team that was playing the Dodgers when they left New York. Mm-hmm. Now, my problem is my wife is from the Bronx, so she's a Yankee fan.
Right.
So when we got married, we made a deal that I would root for the Mets and the Yankees, and she would root for the Yankees and the Mets until they play one another. Now, when they play one another, like we're hoping in New York right now to have a subway series, then I'm a big Mets fan. I want the Mets to defeat the Yankees.
But you were born in Harlem, right?
I was.
So how and the Mets are in Queens, right? Is that where
That is correct. I now represent Queens.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. Always a politician, right? It was interesting because earlier when we had a call earlier, we were wearing out the Cowboys, and we had a caller, and her and her husband. Well, when she married him, she was a Packer fan. He's a Cowboy fan, and she converted to being a Cowboy fan. And so that became the whole question: how do you have these mixed marriages when it comes to sports? But it seems like you've been able to resolve it in the Meeks household.
Yes, sir. But I must say, I'm a Mets fan. I was a Mets fan even when I was in Harlem because of Jackie Robinson. You know, my dad was a Dodger fan until they left, and then Willie Mays when he played for the Mets, and the Yankees at the time. I found out, you know, when I was born, I still was conscious of, you know, the prejudices in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees was one of the last teams to put a black person on their team.
Right.
So I was a National League fan as a result of that. And so when the Mets started, and people forget that the Mets played originally in the Polo Grounds in Harlem.
Okay.
So I was a Mets fan from the very existence, from the time I was a kid.
I rock with the Mets. Was it 86, 85, 86 Mets? I really rock with them.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that squad. And that was probably one of the best National League Championship series, them against Houston. That was just incredible to see that and that. But then, you know, I'm with the evil Empire, man. I'm pulling my Yankee gear out. So I have worn it all summer, but I see that I'm back with my Yankees gear. And you will be in Milwaukee Wednesday? Did you?
I'll be in Milwaukee, coming through Milwaukee Wednesday, real quick hit. But then I'm back to Milwaukee on the 24th with members of the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus's Political Action Committee.
Okay.
And we're bringing a busload of CBC members down to Milwaukee to work with Gwen Moore.
Okay, because we talked to Representative Danny Davis Friday, and I think he had mentioned that on Friday. And Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries will be here Friday. He is the keynote speaker for the NAACP. So,
yeah,
great presence.
And the vice president will be there Thursday.
Thursday, that's correct. Congressman Gregory Meeks, great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, appreciate you.
All right now.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Uh-huh. He said they resolved that in his household. Huh? That's the one benefit. You know, my wife is not really a sports fan, so you know that we don't have that drama. I have in the past dated women who were very into a particular team. Yeah, I had a past, man. There's one particular young lady in college that I dated, and she was a Cowboy fan, so I became a Cowboy fan.
What?
Yeah, but I moved back to Milwaukee, so I got my mind. The Packers wasn't doing much. That was the Bart Starr years. They weren't doing much.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you ride or die, man.
Who's that? Just talking about, yeah, man. She loved Tony Dorsett. That was her guy.
Yeah, but you got to, man, listen. I have the brutal years, the 4th and 26, all of that, man. I mean, you know, just
my goddaughter.
I can't go.
She was talking about how her mom and dad. Her mom is really into football. I mean, she's into sports. She's really into football. She used to be one of the managers for Brown Deer's football team, so she loves football. And so my goddaughter, we were down in the man cave, and she saw the TV because she goes, my mom and daddy, they watch the Packers. She said, and they be cussing. She said, Poppy, do you cuss? Oh, I said, yeah.
Let the right play.
Oh, the Seattle game.
Right.
Ask my wife about the Seattle game.
I don't want
My wife, she thought, oh my God, my husband down there losing his mind. Her sister called. She said, how brother doing? She said, not good. And my wife learned early on. She learned early on how to ask me if the Packers won or lost. She doesn't do it the way did they win? There's a way she asked me because she knows that could trigger something. Yeah. And then I ain't at work.
You think?
Right. And I ain't at work on Monday.
Right.
Y'all putting up T-shirts, free Keith.
Yeah, they lost.
You listen to Community Voice, phone lines open.
But wait, before we go out, do you have little rituals? Like if I usually, like at the beginning of the season, if I start watching the game by myself and they winning, I don't invite nobody over.
I'm superstitious.
Yeah,
man.
I don't change nothing.
You know what I don't do? I don't do Super Bowl parties. But the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl, I actually went to my sister's house.
So you go to her.
So if the Packers are in the Super Bowl, I can go to her house. I don't think there's a jinx over there
because they won.
Dude, because I got my ritual, man. I'm down with my play chart. I got my headphones on, and now I got red zone.
So one particular Sunday, I asked Jackie, sit down and watch the game with me. Watch the game with me. Man, they got sloshed. They got towed up. I never asked her to watch the game with me no more.
She the jinx?
She was that day.
How did she handle you? Was she consoling though in the loss?
No, she don't. She's just like, hi. Did he make a basket? Jackie, it's football. I'm gonna make my wife sound that slow.
I will tell you this though, and I saw this with my mom. My mom stopped watching sports probably back in the 70s. The last time I can remember watching the sporting events, I know we're going on. Okay, tell the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was Ali fought Spinks the second time, and so I don't know how me and my mom end up watching this fight together. And my mama was such an Ali fan.
You didn't have many friends who you ended up watching the fight with your mama.
I guess, man. We were watching the late 70s, 80s? So it got to the point because that first fight, Spinks did beat Ali. He did beat him in the first fight.
I thought he did.
So the second fight they got where Ali is doing a flurry, and I'd never heard my mother do this. And I'm sorry I'm telling this story, but because it was so funny to me. So Ali was just wearing out Spinks, right? And I could hear my mother, hit that nigga, hit that.
Wow.
Last time we watched the fight together. And then let me run a little sports thing with my mom. When the Bucks, because my mom doesn't watch sports, but when the Bucks were in the finals, my mom would call, what time is the game on?
Yeah. My mother too.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't watching the game? Where we watching the game at?
Right. And my mom said, well, this is history. Yeah. Because, she remembered the first championship, but no, that was she hit that nigga. You listen to Community Voice. Phone lines open 414-444-5250. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Right. I guess we'll be back.
All right, welcome back. Phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Kirby, you watched the game? You didn't go to the game, did you, Thursday? Lakers? You went?
Yeah. I was in the Potawatomi Club.
Baller. Baller. What?
I never been over there.
Well, you see what? Oh.
Big red over there.
Yeah, I think he just pulled somebody over.
Boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like he just pulled somebody over. Was it an accident?
Money didn't score at all.
Yeah, because he's 5'2". What? You know, but let me say this. And maybe I'm hating. No, maybe I'm hating. I am hating. Because I wish I had a dad that could hook me up like that. If your old man could get you in the NBA, would you go? Yeah, it's a great hookup, man. Who your daddy is matters. You know, but yeah, man, if my daddy give me in the NBA, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Why would you not do it? You know, I mean that's crazy, man. Who that? Elon.
Musk.
I do. I would no, what'd he do?
He introduced 3 new inventions: the humanoid bots,
Right.
the self-driving taxis,
Yeah.
and the 20-seater vans.
Somebody said that they were in the cab, that self-driving. They call it RoboCab.
Yeah, robot.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you ever see RoboCop,
iRobot or RoboCop.
yeah, do you see RoboCop?
Yeah.
Which is the new one or the original?
With Will Smith.
That was iRobot.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
See RoboCop.
Yeah, RoboCop, the original with Peter Weller, which is actually is a good movie. I mean, it's but the future is interesting that they chose Detroit, but they shot it in Toronto. That is what it is. What it is. I watched Saturday Night Live, and what is her name? Because the sister that's playing, what's her name? Minnie Riperton's daughter is playing Kamala Harris. What's her last name? Is God, because her dad's Rudolph. It's not Wilma Rudolph. What is her first name? Maya Rudolph. She plays Kamala Harris. And the guy who does Donald Trump, he's dead on in terms, he doesn't look like Donald Trump, but he sounds a lot like her. But she really got it on because she's also done she's done Beyonce. She's good. But she got Kamala Harris down just to the point where she got all the inflection, the whole piece. SNL, you watch it? Yeah, I've been an SNL fan since again. This is the 50th year. I didn't realize, man, 1974. I remember 1974. I would have been at the fall of 74. That's going into my senior year in high school. I ended up staying up late past 10:30 watching. I've been a fan ever since. Now they've had some tough years, but they've had some great cast too. I mean, you can go back to Belushi and Aykroyd and Bill Murray and work your way up. I can't think of his name. Right, they come in um, and Eddie Murphy, the folks that have been able. A guy that's really surprised me, has just really hit it big, has been Adam Sandler. He really hit it big coming off of Saturday Night Live crew. So they've had some great folks there, folks that you don't, it's just Impact, Joe Piscopo. Yeah, Mike Myers. They've had some great cast members there and pretty good writers. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Again, let me a couple of texts in here. Texas. Somebody said that Bronny James can't even play in the WNBA. Whoa. Whoa. I don't know if that's an insult to the WNBA. But yeah, it is tough, man. That's like Walter Payton's son. When he went to play, I think he ended up playing football at Miami. Um, it was Kareem's son who, unlike his dad, who was a 7-footer, I think he was like 6'3", 6'4". He never really panned out. Who was another father's son? Well, Kobe did better than his dad. Joe Jelly Bean Bryant. But Kobe did better than his old man, Stephen Curry. And this old man, Dale Curry, was a beast, but Stephen Curry, obviously, he's a Hall of Famer. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, let me congratulate the folks who've gone in. Bo Ryan went in. I didn't realize he went back-to-back Final Fours. Bo Ryan went into the Hall of Fame. Michael Coop went in the Hall of Fame. Chauncey Billups. And Vince Carter. Yeah, Vince Sanity. Who's that? Vince? Oh man, Vince. I think he hung around too long though. But maybe it's hard for me to say. But hey, man, you got to eat. But sometimes I think you can hang around too long. Right, because that question we were having on whether or not this would be LeBron's last year. I mean, I think you great. You play as long. Kareem played 20 years. But I don't know. I mean, if you're effective now, here's the difference between LeBron James and Kareem at the end of their careers. LeBron James is probably playing better now than he's played, his entire life in terms of just being a basketball player. I think he was averaging about 25 points a game last year, and so I don't know. I think you be like Jim Brown, man. Just walk away. Don't limp away. Kobe ended up limping away. Well, I'm sure he gets. The question is, do they go easy on LeBron because he's LeBron? I would say yes and no. Here's the deal. I don't want LeBron James to foul out. If I'm the NBA, LeBron James needs to be on the floor. So if it's coming down is Carvey and LeBron James and there's a foul and Carvey was in the neighborhood, Carvey going to eat that foul. Because you really, I mean, and I don't know how true it was. I don't know if it was urban legend. They said that when Julius Erving first got to the NBA, there was an unspoken rule: if he fouled out a game, people get their money back. Because people came to see him play. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Shalom, family.
Hey, what's happening, man?
What's up, Mike? I had to get back to it. You had your guest, but you made a couple comments earlier in your show related to the political.
Hey, you got us on speaker because you kind of, I don't know if it's us
I'm
or
muffled.
you. Yeah, kind of us or you.
Let me. Be better now?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Thank you.
All right. So you were talking about this political landscape related to Black men in particular. Mm-hmm. And I seem to recall several months back where you were saying that you didn't think it was a significant number of Black men who were going to support Trump. You recall that?
Yeah, I still stand by that.
You do?
Yeah, I'm saying significant.
We're
not talking 30, 40%. That's what I'm saying. 20%, you still got 80% who's not. So
that's still more significant than you thought it was. Would it not be?
It's more, not so much more than I thought it was. It's more than has supported him in 2016 and 2020. So he has made some gains, but look, he was at 8%, 10%. So,
and that's significant.
Depending on where you are. Did you hear the question I asked Congressman Meeks? It is not as significant in New York State as it is in Wisconsin. Because
but nation, you compile all of them from state to state as it relates to, getting the most electoral college votes.
Right.
So if allows him to carry more states, then the game is over. But that coupled with the fact that there are going to be more younger black men, I'm going to say, and then younger black people who are not going to vote at all.
Right.
That becomes.
But that's the 40% Michelle was talking about.
Right. That number goes from 26% just for the black men. That's not even counting the black women who are going to support Trump, right? Whatever that number is, say
Small.
it's 5%.
Small.
Small, okay. But then if you got 10, 15% who just aren't going to vote for whatever the reason is,
right?
Then you got 40% of people who are eligible to vote that are basically just saying, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And I think they don't really recognize the danger that they're leaving not just themselves in, but all of the work that was done by their ancestors. To me, that's the biggest factor here, is all of the gains that were made. Now, I recognize, and I think we also have to consider that in order for him to really do anything long term would require him having both houses of the Congress.
Yep.
But that executive pen has power that people don't understand.
But Republicans could maintain the House, and it looks like the Dems are going to lose the Senate. It's so who the president is really does matter now, because if the House remains in Republican hands and the Senate flips Republican, then if you have Donald Trump as president, then all bets are off, right? I mean, so it does matter. But again, and I'm gonna put him in this group. But one of the ironies was that when in 1972, 18-year-olds, that was the first election that 18-year-olds could vote in. And a lot of that was done giving the 18-year-olds the vote because of the Vietnam War and the protests that were going on in the country. But the lowest voter turnout is among people 18 to 25, 18 to 30, across all demographic groups, right? They are the low. And then I think something else, and I'm going to use this term, tell me if I'm wrong. When you're talking about a segment of black men, they are low information voters.
I would say singular issue voters, or not a multiple issue voter.
Okay.
Because when you hear them, at least on these national talk shows that are interviewing them, whether it be, for example, I heard last night or earlier this morning, they were interviewing a number of people at an Atlanta football game. Diversity of people, but the black ones that they interviewed that they said were voting for Trump, it was the economy, right? And I guess you have to ask the question, what has Trump really done for the economy? They talk about his policies.
But here again, you talk about a low information voter. They don't look at what he's done for the economy. What you hear people say is, I was doing better under him than I am now. And that's a real big difference. They don't know what he did with the economy. They could care less. Their real lived experience is, in their minds, that it was better economically for them under Donald Trump. Like people were saying, well, if my business failed because Joe Biden was president, your business failed for a whole lot of reasons other than Joe Biden being president. Like, for example, your ability to be able to get a loan because the Federal Reserve decided in order to curb inflation, they were going to raise the interest rate, right? So that means that in the past, when the interest rate was low, you might have more access to capital. Is that Rosie Parris? Oh, you might have more access to capital. You don't. So those things, or we're dealing with inflation. Now, we can explain why we're dealing with inflation, but most people don't want to have this deep in the weeds conversation about all the different nuances in the economy, right? All they know is rent is too damn high.
Right. Oh, and I guess I see your point with regard to the low information. That would speak to just one issue as well,
Right. And that's not just black male voters. There are a lot of white male low information voters. I mean, and voters, period. I mean, we get what we get, and unfortunately, it's the commercials that are shaping and forming. How does Tammy Baldwin go from 8 points up to just 2 points up? Well, look at the ads that they're running. They're running homophobic ads. They're appealing to people's most basic fear that you're going to allow a man to be in a locker room with a woman, or you're going to allow a man to go to a battered shelter. Because here's the other piece about intimate partner violence. It is not just women who are victims. There are men who are in abusive situations. I'm talking about physically abusive, and sometimes in same-sex relationships, right? They need protection. So, but you're playing to people's fear. That's a low information voter. You're playing to their fears, not based on any fact. You know, I mean, none of these people could tell you if so-called the whole trans issue, if they've even had an encounter with a trans person. They probably haven't.
The attack ad piece has been effective, if from my perspective, because the Democrats aren't countering it. You know, it's like they're playing softball. You know, in a world that only wants to see fastballs coming through and hitting them. Right. It's gotten to the point where it seems to me like the Democrats are still taking people for granted and not dealing with the truth. Because who can be more dangerous than Donald Trump? I mean, and all the things that he's done.
J.D. Vance.
Who wants to have this person representing them? You know, they haven't even addressed the fact. I haven't heard one ad that talks about how Trump was the one who told Congress not to pass the bill on the immigration thing. You know, not once. You hear it in a debate, but you don't hear any ads that are. What was that?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh. So, you know, it's, again, but back to, Trump just completely got people befuddled, I think. It's unexplainable as to why people think he's going to do something that he's shown evidence he's incapable of doing. You know, not just the instability. The man is, you know, he told you, all he has is concepts. All he ever had is concepts. And he's got a bunch of people around him who are like Stephen Miller and all these other people who have a dangerous, devious mind. And they'll bring things to him. And if they'll give him enough admiration and you're the greatest, then he'll say, let's do it. And go back to the golf course. He has not, I don't think he even understands the role of the president, let alone, you know, function. You know, I hear him today. He's at a speech somewhere and he's saying, you know, we're going to stop the border and all these guys right here. He's talking about the Secret Service people now. All these guys right here are going to be the ones to do it. He don't even understand their job duties, you know, but he makes these statements and then people, you know,
but if it's effective, he's going to continue to do it. You know what I mean? I mean that, and it's not just say it's him. I mean, some of these ads that I see running are out lies. I mean, just taking one word out of a sentence, and I mean it is. So it's just not him, because it's and this is going to be surprising to hear people hear me say this. It is bigger than Donald Trump, and that's what we're missing. So as Michelle was saying, you focus over here on him. And he's distracting you from there's a real agenda out there that many people in this country support. So we're trying to make it sound like Donald Trump is this madman out there, like Lyndon LaRouche, who used to perpetually run for president from the John Birch Society back in the day. This dude, there are people there who understand that if he gets back in, they will have power too. And here's the other thing. Donald Trump is running, I think he liked being president, but he's running to make sure his ass don't go to jail.
Right. And to send his opponents to jail. You know, with the Congress, what'll stop him? You know, so what differentiates him from
the Supreme Court?
Absolutely. I mean, they've already paved the way for him. That's why I said last week, I think Biden, in all of the craziness that it may sound, needs to have the DOJ go after Trump right now and charge him with treason for his efforts to overthrow and telling people that he's going to abolish the Constitution.
Well, you can tell people that doesn't mean it's treason because you say you want to get rid of the Constitution. But we have
he's already shown he's willing to do whatever it takes to do it. And the fact that in, where is it? West Virginia, where they talked about if Trump don't win, they're going to just ignore any other results from the election.
Yeah,
so essentially they're saying that's and
Trump won West Virginia by 20 points. What's the chances of Trump losing in West Virginia?
Would be election interference, you know?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, okay, what are we talking? Maybe 8 electoral votes. West Virginia has clearly been on the presidential level anyway.
But it's going to have some other states tag along and follow suit.
We should be concerned about what they want to do in Georgia, where they're just going to tie it up. That Georgia becomes a real concern just based on what they want to do. And they started putting these things in place because Georgia, I think statistically, is still in play. I don't know. I think at this point, if she's down by 4 points, and I have to go back and look where she is in Georgia, that's going to be a tough hill.
And I'll let you go. I know you got to go, but all the fake elector stuff that they're already trying to set the table with. And then get the House Speaker come out, talking about he thinks there's already been voter fraud, right? So this is the same playbook they had open before, and they're putting it in place now, which speaks to interference and all the things that they've talked about doing in order to give Trump an opportunity to, as he said, we're going to abolish the Constitution, because I want to be a dictator. And that's a dangerous place.
But how do you do it? How does he abolish the Constitution?
If you got both houses you start taking those steps towards it. Because if you got both houses, everything that is possible to do is there to be done. Okay,
but I think, and again, I'm not one of these super patriots. I think it'd be pretty difficult to undo the Constitution, because the issue with the Constitution isn't so much the Constitution as the execution of the Constitution that is the issue, right? So,
right,
I don't know, and I don't want to sit up and sound like, oh, the sky's not falling, and then I walk outside and get hit by a cloud. You know what I mean? But but I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is that the man is dangerous. You got people talking about, not voting for Kamala because, Biden and Kamala have not backed the Palestinians more. What do they think Trump is going to do? He unleashes all of the things that Netanyahu wants to do. There's no restraint there from Trump, not on anybody in war.
So, and I know we can't say what if, but do you think it would have been first of all, October 7th still would have happened, right? If Donald Trump was president, because October 7th was something that had been brewing for the last 16 years. So that still would have happened. The question is, what would have been Israel's response? I think that if Donald Trump was president, just based on his past dealings with Israel and with Palestine, is that he would have allowed Netanyahu to go full throttle, right?
Yep.
I mean,
there would be no talk about a ceasefire,
right? Or you using American munitions,
right.
And right. I mean that. So if people, but I think those folks understand. But I think what they were doing was saying, but just because Donald Trump could be worse doesn't mean that Joe Biden couldn't do more. I think
I agree with that. And I think he could too as well. I'm just saying that, the other side of the coin is darker than what we're looking at now, and as you said, I think they agree with it. I think you like you just said, you recognize that. The problem is dangerous. Donald Trump, if they think Kamala Harris is dangerous, then that means Donald Trump is disastrous, waiting to happen.
But when you use that word, but Craig, when you use that word dangerous, right? And they would say that Kamala Harris is dangerous or Donald Trump is dangerous. Dangerous to who? I mean, I got a sense.
When you have people who worked under his administration who are saying he should never be back in that role again, that should tell you something. And for you to ignore it is saying to yourself, I just don't care. Let me just see what happens and then I'll deal with it then. And the scripture tells us the prudent man or woman sees the danger far off and does what is necessary to avert it. So, I'll leave you with that.
Bro, but the fact that that it says the true prudent man means that there are probably imprudent men. No, and so I know we get frustrated.
That's true. There's always the other side of the coin.
If that admonishment was given as a virtue, then there has to be an opposite of that where there's behavior that would be considered, like a vice. So I said this on Friday. I wish people saw the world as clearly as I did. Right. I mean, from my perspective, but people are all operating what they think is in their own self-interest. And sometimes some of the things we do, we might think is in our self-interest, turns out not to be. There's a song that I love, I Can't Let Go by Earth, Wind, and Fire on the I Am album. And there's a line in there that says that lovers' eyes are blessed because they only see the best.
Hey, with that, I'm going to have to get back in there with you and DJ, and we're going to have to discuss this pass y'all gave the Trump voters.
We ain't never gave no Trump voters passes. What we have done, and I responded to you, what we have done is a political critique.
Man. You can't
we try to do an objective because we have a journalistic responsibility here to be as objective as possible.
And I know he's listening right now.
Fair and balanced.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate
good talking to you as always.
All right, man.
Peace, family.
All right. You're listening to Community Voice. Am I here? What the clock say, Key? What the clock say, Key? Let me thank Congressman Gregory Meeks. Let me thank Debo. Harvey, thank you. Callers, we thank you. The good Lord willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.